Okay guys, so I guess we need to talk about the simp question, because it seems to be becoming more of an issue, especially as some of our most beloved YouTubers have been bitten by the simp bug. Rest in peace, iDubbbz. You were a good lad. Press F in the chat for iDubbbz, people. But why am I mentioning iDubbbz? Well, the problem is, it's the actions of his girlfriend that have basically exposed him as a simp. To cut a long story short, basically this is what has happened. Anissa, who is iDubbbz's girlfriend, announced to the world a week or two ago that she has started an OnlyFans account. Now, for those of you who don't know what an OnlyFans account is, it's basically a Patreon-style website, but for posting porn. That's what it is. It's Patreon for porn. And she said she was doing this and that iDubbbz was supporting it, which for those of you who watch iDubbbz's content immediately raises a few eyebrows, because this is the same person who made a green screen compilation, and one of the jokes was this.
You're a whore. You're a whore, just admit it. You're a whore, you whore yourself out online, you whore yourself out in front of your family and your friends. You're a whore, plain and simple. Just admit that you're a whore and a slut and a harlot.
Basically an anti-Twitch thought e-girl joke. Yet here he is with an e-thought, and she has backstory. She used to be a Twitch thought herself, Anissa. And then there was another story about them buying a Nintendo Switch. I don't understand that particular part of the drama. Apparently that is something that is really, really bad. I don't understand it myself, but apparently, yeah, that's another sign that he is a simp. And then we had Discord leaks. Anissa has her own Discord where she talks to people, and well, let's just say it has pretty much confirmed that he is indeed a simp, if not outright a cuck. Anissa pretty much chats shit about him. She basically is complaining about him constantly. When he was making his content cops, he was apparently spending so much time doing them that he wasn't giving her enough attention. Yes, it's the whole, all you ever do is work. You work so hard and you work so much that you don't even know that I exist. It's that kind of trope in real life, guys. You know what I'm talking about, man. You know what I'm talking about. And she was also complaining about his habits in the house. Apparently, he burps a lot and he's a bit of a man-child and he doesn't clean his room properly. And also, they don't live with each other. They actually are in a long-distance relationship. And she also has a very obvious and public crush on Chris Reagan, to the point where I think it is something that iDubbbz should talk to her about, because it's far too public. She's almost lusting after him in public. And also apparently she made Ian dye his hair to make it look more like Chris's, which I'm not sure if that's true or not. I've not seen the evidence to suggest that she did that. I always thought that iDubbbz had brown hair anyway. That is pretty weird if that is true. That is showing that he's basically doing all that he can to please her, and he's not even trying to lay down boundaries. He's just doing whatever he can to keep this Twitch thought. And what all this has shown is that it doesn't matter how big you are, it doesn't matter what your style of humour is, what your content is, you can be a simp. Even people like iDubbbz are not immune to this bug. This virus is probably more widespread than even coronavirus is. Now we're going to get into it a little bit more seriously now, because iDubbbz is simply the case study. Now, what does it show us about the current situation? It shows that the relationship between men and women is going even further down the drain than it was even just a couple of years ago when I first started making content on YouTube about the culture wars and the diminishing relationships between men and women because of feminism and things like that. It's getting even worse. And the whole simp thought dichotomy is basically just symptomatic of that. It seems to me that society is basically allowing certain demographic of women to prey on men. Now, preying not in the sense of they're predators and they're trying to abuse men in a sexual way. That's not really what it is. It's really more they're taking advantage of these men. Some of them are actually boys as well. We're forgetting that a lot of simps are actually very young boys. I would say roughly 14 to maybe 19 years of age, maybe in your early 20s. I know some of those are more adult ages. Remember, men mature much later than women. Don't forget, these women are still financially taking advantage of these people when they should actually be saving their money for something a bit more productive. Now, does that mean I'm against paying people to provide sexual favours or even to post nudes for you so you can get your rocks off? I have no problem with that, actually, as long as it's not abused. The problem is, we see this on Twitch a lot, and it's not just something that happens on Chatterbait or anything like that. It happens on Twitch, where you're not even allowed to be nude or anything like that. But my problem with the thought and simp dichotomy is that basically it is enabling each other's bad behaviours. The simps enable the thots to basically live off being lazy, jobless women, essentially. These women aren't going out there to better themselves. They have no skills. They have nothing to contribute to society. All they do is live off being fairly attractive women. That's literally it. And not only that, it enables them to indulge in their more darker sides, shall we say, their more annoying sides, their narcissistic sides, because it's an attention-seeking gratification for them. And these simps are giving them that. They're giving them these ego boosts that they wouldn't otherwise have gotten in regular, normal society. They would not be getting that, which allows them to do things to people and to do things online that mainly men wouldn't be able to get away with, as you have seen on Twitch. How many Twitch thots have managed to evade bans altogether, let alone get away with light punishments for breaking the rules constantly? And not only that, they get away with a lot of things that I just wouldn't get away with. Animal abuse, live on camera, guilt-tripping people into giving them more money, things like that. There is a wide spectrum of things that they do. But we all know what has been going on. And the simps enable that. They enable these women to just be the worst kinds of people imaginable. It's not a healthy relationship between buyer and seller. This is something completely different. It's almost parasitic. But of course, then you got the thots who just enable the simps to continue wasting their money on these people. These simps are not likely to be trying to better themselves, because why should they better themselves when all they've got is right there on their fingertips by just paying money to these people to do what they want them to do for sexual gratification? Now, it's fine in moderate doses. You can, pay somebody to flash whatever it is you want them to flash, or to do whatever it is you want them to do on Twitch, because again, it's not meant to be a sexual chatterbait style website on there, but they might as well be that at this point. But how can it be healthy when you're spending hundreds of thousands every month on these people? How is it healthy when you become obsessive and think you've got a chance with these people, when you literally think that if you just pay them enough money, they'll give you attention, and that means that you've got a chance to be their boyfriend or something like that? And recently I was watching a podcast called Digital Blackface, which Poe on Twitter runs with his friend Jay, and they were talking to a girl called Virescence, I believe that she's called. And she's somebody who doesn't even try to actively court simps. She's just a regular girl online. She's not an e-thot. She's not an e-girl. And she's told horror stories about how simps can, when they get worse, when their behaviour is enabled, and she wasn't trying to enable them in any way. She was just trying to have a regular online experience. They would get obsessed with her, and then when she would rebuke them politely, they got angry and started to hate on her and would join in with these sporadic dramas that she would get involved in because people don't like her for whatever reason. I don't know why. There wasn't a lot of context about why she got into these issues with certain communities, but a lot of these people were former simps that jumped on the bandwagon to attack her. And not only that, when she first joined Twitter at the age of, I think it was 14 or 15, she had simps that were paedophiles. And these people were trying to groom her. They were trying to get laid. There is a dark side to the simp problem. Yes, there is the part of it that is laughable. The people who waste their money on e-thots hoping that they would get some kind of action. But then you've got these people. Now, whether or not a simp can develop into that kind of horrible simp, I don't know. But that is an issue. The thots don't cause the simps, and the simps don't cause the thots. It is another bigger cause, and I think it's something to do with gender relations. I can't quite tell you what exactly the cause is. It's not the internet. The internet is the vessel in which this happens. It will amplify the problem. It probably could become a bit of a problem, potentially in a couple of years, if the e-thought bubble continues to grow as opposed to collapse, because I don't even see Project Melody really destroying them outright. I really don't. Even though Project Melody was blowing them out of the water in terms of views, I still think ultimately most men aren't really into anime as much as we think. It was most likely fans she already had flocking to Chatterbait. We could see potentially bad side effects from this happening. But remember, as I said, none of them cause each other. They are in a symbiotic relationship. But does that mean that these people will always be destined to be simps? Not at all, no. You can grow out of it. Remember, a lot of these people are very young. They are still learning. They are still growing. A lot of them will probably grow out of this and realise the mistake that they made and will become better persons as a result of this. There will be some who won't, however. And to be honest, I do actually understand why a lot of these men are doing what they're doing. Because, let's be fair, even though it's funny, it is kind of sad as well that a lot of these millennial and zoomer men and boys are just so lonely because of how society works at the moment, because of Me Too, social isolation, the increasing atomization of our society. The fact that a lot of these people are probably maybe autistic, maybe there's nowhere for them to turn to find friendship groups where they can find girlfriends, things like that. There's probably people who aren't doing a good job in trying to get them to become better people, to become more sociable, to become more self-confident. They probably don't know where to turn, so they turn to these e-thoughts because they give them that little bit of attention that they really want, even though they have to pay for it. Even though it's superficial, these e-thoughts don't care about them, they pretend to like them, they pretend to remember their names. It fills something in that they don't have in their regular lives. And that's really sad, and I think, we can make fun of them and all that, and it is funny, especially in regards to people like iDubbbz, who is a hypocrite when it comes to this, but a lot of the others, they really have no choice, or at least they feel they have no choice, but to basically adopt this lifestyle because it's the only place where they can fill the void that loneliness gives them. Now, I do think that people like this have always existed. There have always been men who have had these issues with loneliness, with simpish behaviour, always trying to validate what women do to try and please them and to get with them. These men have always existed. I think the internet is basically giving them an outlet to indulge in these behaviours, and obviously the internet is also providing an outlet for the thoughts to indulge in their own toxic behaviours and to take advantage of these men. So how do we fix this then? I don't know, unfortunately, because it seems to be something that only they can fix themselves. The thoughts can only fix themselves. The simps can only fix themselves. The incels can only fix themselves. There's really nothing that we can do, unfortunately. I don't know how else we can fix this. And even then, we can try and reform, for lack of a better word, all these people. But they will always exist because this is a part of human nature, unfortunately. Because remember, this is just one of many ways that the relationships between men and women, and of course same-sex relationships as well, work in relation to each other. There's always going to be these imbalances, I think, and it's up to us to try and balance them out as best as we can. Even though we probably will never succeed, at the very least we can try and save some people, right? But what I guess it really is just a sad reflection on humanity in 2020. That this is what we've been reduced to. It's not just a Western thing, it really is worldwide. In particular, the West, but you can also argue in Japan. Maybe Japan as well is on par with the West, if not worse, because they're actually not breeding, they're not having children as much as they used to, their population is declining because of things like this, maybe. Could the West go down the route that Japan has gone down with the herbivore men? Who knows? We're probably heading in that direction anyway. In fact, maybe this is something that all societies kind of have to go through. Maybe this will start happening in the Middle East. Maybe it will start happening in South America. Is this just a natural phenomenon that will occur in modernisation? Will it just run its course and then things will come back to normal? Who knows? I wish I could say. It's getting a bit too deep now and hypothetical, so I will leave it there, guys. So until next time, I'll see you all later.